Hello everyone, this is Alejandro, CTO at Didit, the best identity verification platform on the market, where you can verify your users starting with just one face scan. We offer all types of features: ID verification, passive active liveness, AML screening, proof of address, email, phone verification, everything, you name it, we have it. So we're gonna do a full tour guide on today's video, and I'm gonna start by showcasing what a user sees when he performs an identity verification. Then I'm going to show the console deeply, so an admin can understand all the capabilities that we offer at Didit. And then finally, we will go through the technical documentation at Didit as well, in case you want to integrate through API or you want to get more in depth about any of the features that we have. So we're going to start with the identity verification platform. As you see, this is the first thing that the user sees when you send him the verification link, in this case, this one. So he will see like he needs to perform two steps, the ID verification and the face verification. And he can either scan a QR code to initiate the process with their mobile phone, or he can just start right away in the desktop. So as well, this is a configuration that an admin of the company can do if he allows like just mobile or just desktop or both. In this case, we're going to continue with the desktop. And in this step, the user must select which country the document is from, the one that he's trying to verify. In my case, I'm going to verify a document from Spain. So I'm going to select here, and I have a list, enormous list of countries and regions. In total, we have like 220 plus countries and regions at Didit. So I'm going to go just with Spain. I'm going to select Spain, and I'm going to go with the national identity document. So let's go. And here I have two options. The user have two options. He can either upload document, maybe from his photo library or his files directly on the phone or on the computer, or he can take a live photo as well. This is super configurable, and an admin can do that directly through the workflows. We will see later how to do it. So what we're going to do is take a photo of the front side. We initialize the camera, and we put the document here, and boom, right away. We detect it really quick with a very lightweight detection document classification model. That will have the document there, and that's it, pretty much. Super fast. This works perfectly in all types of condition, 3G, 4G, 5G networks. It works in all type of devices, iOS, Android, anything, any type of browser as well. It's been battle tested by millions of verifications every month. It's the best user experience on the market. So now we're going to go with the face step. In this case, we're going to do a passive liveness. So it's going to just take a quick video and a photo, and that's it. And it's super fast as well. Very good detection model that we have over there. And I've been verified. As a user, I've been verified already. And normally we can have different scenarios. We can have a user implemented, integrated our identity verification platform and the verification process through a redirect. So we're going to get a callback and we're going to redirect back to the user web application, for instance. Or he can integrate as well through Iframe. So he will be on the application, the web application at all times, but he can also integrate through one of our SDKs, especially if he has like native applications like iOS and Android. This is very useful and super good user experience. So I would strongly recommend to implement through one of our SDKs. So now we're going to shift the perspective and we're going to see what an admin of a company sees. So I verified already, and this is just the verification that I just performed, called with the test user 3. And this was too old verification that I did like 15 minutes ago. So I'm going to go check what information did we extract from this user. So we start here, the contact details. In this case, there is no contact details because I didn't send any contact details while creating the session. We have some warnings. Warnings are basically a set of heads up that can happen on a verification process. So it's for us to let you know to the company like, hey, be careful of certain things. And there is three types of warnings. There is the informational one that is always displayed in gray. Then there is the one that is a warning that in review, let's say it, that is going to be on orange color. And then there is the red one that is some warning that triggers some decline status for some reason. In this case, we only have two, both an informational, and they are telling us like this has been a possible duplicated user because of a document, and then a possible duplicated face as well. And this makes sense because I created a session with the test user 3, and previously I created with test user 2 and test user 1, and I verified with the same type of document and with my face as well. So we detected that pretty quickly, that this user is using different accounts on your company, like with test user 1, test user 2, and he's trying to access this and verify himself with different accounts. And that's very helpful, especially with companies that suffer a lot from multi-account abuse. This is super, super helpful, so there is no one abusing maybe a promotion that you have, or free credits that you're giving to different users, etc. There is multiple good scenarios on that. Let's go after here. We will see that we have the cost breakdown of what the verification costed. We have white label enabled. In this case, it's 30 cents. It's going to go down the price as we speak, like in 2 weeks. We have IP analysis. We have AML screening that costs like 35 cents as well. It's going to go down to 20 cents after 15 days. We have face match, passive liveness, and ID verification. That's all what we perform. The user perform the verification process. So we have here super, super transparency of what the cost of the verification was, and you only pay by feature that was completed by the user. So that means, like, if the user completed an ID verification and passive liveness only, so these only 2 features, we gonna only make you pay by these 2 features here. No one else. Like, only you pay by completed features. And the good thing about Didit as well is, like, you can pay by usage. There is no monthly commitment fee. There is no annual contract that if you don't get to a certain volume, then we make you pay again. So it's super transparent, pay by usage. The credits never expire. So that's one of the good points that we have at Didit. So let's continue here. We saw the overview. We're going to go through the ID verification, and this is basically the information of the process that we took from the ID verification part, so the document scanning. So that's me in the moment that I took the photo. We take videos just for audit purpose, same for the back. And then we can see a lot of information here about what we extract about the user. That is an identity card, the document number, the personal number, date of birth, last name, expiration date, date of issue, place of birth, gender, address. We also give the parsed address. So basically we extract the address, and then after we consult different geolocalization APIs like Google Maps, for instance. So we can localize very good and make sure, like, hey, which address is this? And we can pinpoint it on a map. And that's very useful as well for after displaying and showing as well some capabilities. There is some companies as well that must like geolocate some addresses. So that's very useful for that. And then as well, we extracted some extra fields from the process, the first name and the second surname, because in this case in Spain, we have 2 surnames, and it's very good that you can do split like this. This is super useful, and also we are the only company that they are going to give you all the information directly from the ID. Everything that can be extracted, we're going to just show it here on the ID verification feature. As well here, that's a feature that I love, that is the document matches. Basically, what we did is I verified with test user 3, and I verified with my national ID, but previously I verified as well here and here with the same ID. So we are telling you, hey, heads up, this document matches other previous session from other users. So go check it out, You can also configure that if that happens, instead of just informing you, you can decline directly the user. So if you detect these kind of things on Didit, you can say like, hey, if there is a duplicated user, if with another account there is a user verifying with the same ID or with the same face, just decline it. I don't want that. And that's one way to protect you from multi-account abuse. So that's one thing that we detected. I love it. You can just go click here and navigate directly to the session and inspect it more and see the status here and all. So after that, what the user did was passive liveness. And here as well, we have a lot of information. Let me explain it for you. Well, but before, let me show you all the checklists, all the things that we really validate when a user does ID verification. We check everything from QR code in case there is that is validated, MRC validated, that all the document dates are valid, that the gender match is provided, the information that you provided. In this case, I didn't provide any information, but you can provide previous information when creating the session. That there is no printed copy, that there is no screen reply, that the barcode validated, that the document is not expired. All the checklists that we perform at Didit to verify an ID document is here. So you can have full audit of everything that has been done. So continuing here on the liveness process, we did the passive liveness, and I can see the video that I did. That was it. Just super fast, less than 1 second. That's the score of liveness that I was given to. So how likely it is that the person is live. As higher it is, more likely it is that it's live as well. Then as well, the face quality, how well the quality of the image was. This is very important as well, because sometimes the liveness can be kind of high, but the quality is not good. So you want to kind of specify some configuration based on that. Same as the face occlusion, so like how much occlusion there was in total on the face. And then as well, you have the face luminance, how bright the face was. There is in some cases that the face is very dark or is very bright. and you might don't want to be able to accept that. So you can configure that as well. We're going to show it after on the workflow settings. Another feature that I love is the face matches, that basically what we do is, okay, a user just verified, we check his face, and we check all the faces on your system, on the Didit system, on your application, and we see if there has been any kind of similarity with any of these, and we will mark it here. So you can check if there is some duplicated faces or maybe some blocklisted faces. This is super, super useful as well to avoid multi-account abuse. As well here, if you want to check all the liveness that we did, you can check it here. We did as well on the process when we took a photo of the passive liveness, we took the best frame and we compared it with the photo of the document, and we did a face match, and we got a 96% of similarity here. So very, very high, and it's very likely that this person is the same person. As well, checklist, you can check it here. Then, lastly, what we did, we added AML screening on the process. So we took the data of the user that we extracted from the ID document, in this case, my full name, the nationality, the date of birth, and my document number, and we searched it across like more than 2,000 list of sanctions, PEP, anything, adverse media as well. We checked everything, so to check if the user actually is in any of these lists and is dangerous for your company, either because he's a terrorist, either because he's a person that is insolvent, or anything. He's a PEP, political exposed person. You can see everything here. In this case, we find out that there is a person called Alejandro Ramos Garcia, so pretty similar as myself, Alejandro Rosas Garcia. We share the same first name, and we share as well the second last name, and in the first surname, we have like Ramos and Rosas, so it's pretty similar. So we gave a 92% of match score, and also it matches like the country. So it might be I might be this person here. But since it's less than 93%, the match score, and we can configure that was directly a false positive. So we didn't even like go through it. We didn't put it in review. We will go through that configuration of AML. It's very interesting, and we can see exactly what we can configure here, but that helps a lot to actually avoid false positives and really catch like the cases that there is a real hit. If we click here on the AML, we can see in this case the overview, the scores, why the scores actually has been calculated 92%. Here we see that this name and this name of the match was 90% of the score, and since the weight was 80%, we sum 70% to the total calculation. Same for the country. There is a 100% match between the country, and the weight is 20%, so let's add 20% more of the point. And date of birth, I provided the date of birth, but since there was no date of birth here, we couldn't evaluate it. So in total, the match score is 92%. And the risk score is basically what risk does this user, in case it's a match, have in your platform. And all this risk is based on some configuration that we have on the technical documentation. Let me go through it. So AML screening, risk score. Basically, this risk score is calculated by the country that the user is associated with. In this case, Iran, North Korea, Myanmar, all these ones are very, very high. And also, it is based on the type of data set this user has been found. In this case, the category is scored, that is 50% of the weight. If he was on a sanction list, that would be 100% of risk. If it's a PEP, that's a 100% of risk. But if it's a business person or a business, that's 40, or PEP level 4, that's 55. So depending on the data set that the user and the match has been found, you have a different risk score that affect potentially, to your company. So we'll go through a different video, a deep down level of all these ML details, but here you have an idea. That's a source set where the user has been found. That's their connection in case they have some connection, maybe father, mother, sister, or a business partner. It will appear here as well. Here you can just say, maybe you're reviewing this and say hey, that's not a false positive, that's actually a confirm match. You can change that as well here by clicking here. And also you can change directly the status of the AML by choosing this. Also, there is a very good feature that we have on AML that is ongoing monitoring. So what we do with ongoing monitoring, we monitor every day this user, these matches here. So every day we run a script, we check if the user has been included in a new list. And if that's the case, we're going to let you know through webhooks, the webhook URL that you're going to insert on the application. I'm going to show that later, that this user has been included there. And if it had some implication, for instance, maybe there is a strong match, before there was no match, but now there is a match and this user appears in a sanction list. So we're going to send you a message. We're going to notify you here on the console as well. So you know that happened and you can react very quick to that. Here you can have a list of all the sanction lists that we check. You have it all on the technical documentation if you're going to go down, deep down level in the AML. So the coverage is here. All the coverage, all the list by all the countries, the dataset type, you have all here. There is a lot. So after the AML screening, what we also checked on this is the IP device intelligence. So we realized that the user actually document is from here, but the user it's being verified from here, from San Francisco. So there is like something wrong going on, like the IP analysis is from here, but then the document is here. So that tells you like something about it, like, hey, the IP country doesn't match the ID verification. That might be important and relevant for you as well. And here you can go deep down on everything, like the device that the user has been using. In this case was my computer, all the device fingerprint as well, if it has used VPN, Tor, if it has like the device brand, the time zone, everything, the distance that there is from the document. You can check everything here as well. You can see the checklist that we did. And finally, I'm going to show the events. So the events are basically the life cycle, everything that happened on the user verification process. Everything. So all the buttons that he clicked, at what time did he do it, if he left out and then after a couple of days he came back with another computer, you have everything here. If he uploaded the document but then he deleted before uploading it to our servers and he re-uploaded something else, you have everything here. So you can do a very big inspection deeply in case you need it. And then lastly, we have the webhooks. Webhooks are basically messages that are sent through our server, to your backend, to your system, so we can let you know, notify you about certain actions. In this case, we notified you about the status changes. So first one, it was not started, just when the process was created. Then when the process started, at that time here, we sent the one that was in progress. So the user started doing the verification process, and you have here all the request header, all the request body that was sent. And then lastly was the approved one. So we let you know that, hey, this user has been approved. Please update your database, update your system. So you already know that this user with the vendor data test user 3 has been approved on your system. Your user that is called test user 3 or whatever, the email or the UUID has been approved. So let him in, do their stuff and all this. So that's very useful. We always recommend integrating through webhooks. It's super easy. We'll go through that afterwards. We'll have test examples and try it. So you can try it out in live and it's super useful. So after that, what else we can do on a session details? We can do a couple more things. We can actually change the status of the session. Maybe I review this and I say like, hey, no, this user is not legit. This user, is suspicious behavior. I checked all and it seems a fake ID. And you can decline the session. And the session will be declined. And the user will receive a webhook as well for that. So let me update this. So you're going to receive a webhook as well. So we notify again your system like, hey, no, it was approved, but now the user is declined. So you can take the appropriate action. As well, as we can see, we have a couple of things here. That is the session chat. So the session chat is the kind of audit that you have for a session. So everything that happens in a session, like changing status, maybe adding a tag as well. Maybe you can decide to add a tag to this user like, hey, high risk. And I want to put this color here. Yeah, I want to create high risk. This user is high risk. Okay, this user is high risk. Why? I don't know. Maybe I spotted that this was a fake ID and I want to just categorize it well. So I tag this user as a high risk. And here on the audit of the session, we see that myself, the admin of this account, Alejandro plus the test, that is my account, just added a tag of high risk. Maybe there is another thing that I can do here. Like I saw that there was some kind of OCR errors, that this might happen very weirdly, but it can happen. And maybe I want to change that. The date of birth is the 6th of January instead of the 30th of January. So what I will do is click here, Save Changes. And I change the date from the 3rd of January to the 6th of January. And here as well, you have a track of everything that was changed. So you can have and coordinate with your team. Maybe I can tag another member in case there was a member. Now, there is no member now, but you can tag it in case there is one. We will add someone else and you will see it after. But you can tag like, hey, check this. This is important. and he will receive a notification here when he connects to the platform, and he will be redirected directly to a session so he can check what happened. You can communicate with your compliance team directly through the platform. Everything. They will receive real-time notification, and you can coordinate perfectly from there. What else can we do from session details? You can actually add to blocklist as well. Let's say that this user is very dangerous. You realize that, hey, this user I don't want him on my platform. I want to blocklist him. He's trying to access all the time. He's trying to abuse my system. I'm going to blocklist him. So what you can do is blocklist him. Blocklist either his document. You don't want to accept any document that is exactly the same as that one. So if another user tries to create a session and verify themselves with the same document, it will be directly declined. Or you might want to actually decline the face. So if a user, myself, I try to verify again using another account, I'm going to detect that this is the same face that was on the blocklist, so I'm just going to decline it right away. In case you had like the phone number or the email, in case I did this type of verification as well on the process, I will be able as well to blocklist this phone number or email. So if another user tries to verify that email or that phone number, I'm going to decline it. So I'm going to just block these two things here. And now, if I go here to the block list, I'm going to see these two things have been blocked. And I can navigate directly to the session where these two documents, like the document and the face, were blocklisted. And also I can see where the blocklisted at is. You can also maybe say like, hey, I want to restore it. Then you can restore it. Let me do it here actually. I'm going to restore the document. I don't want to blocklist it anymore. So you can do that as well. So what else can you do here? You can also download a PDF. That's very important by regulation. For some regulations, maybe there is some government that asks you for some type of data about the user. You can just go here, download the PDF, and what will happen if we will download a PDF exactly with all the information about the user, everything that has been performed. So we can see in this case, that's me, all the features that I performed, the session ID, the overview. In this case, it was declined. All the warnings that happened, all the tags that I added, my IDs, all the information, the liveness as well, all the information that we saw on the session details, everything that we saw there is here. On the AML part, we have everything that we check. That's very important. All the data sets that we cover, all the sanction that we cover as well. You can navigate here, put the link, everything, all the matches with all the information, all the events as well that happen on the process as we saw, and all the review status, all the conversation that I had directly with the team, and all the checklist. So it's super, super, super complete. If some regulation, maybe some government or some other entity asks you for this type of data, you just can download the PDF, and that's it. So you can do all this on the session details. On a verification list type, you can also export a CSV. So if you want to export maybe CSV because your banking as a service is requesting you some data about the user, the main data about the user, or maybe your card teacher is asking you about some data, you can just go here, export. You decide what you want to export. If you want to export from proof of address, all of this stuff. If you want to export maybe the vendor data name, the first name, last name, middle name, personal number, date of birth, everything that you want. You say that, yeah, I want to export all this. You export it, and you will receive a CSV with all the information about the users. So that's the session ID, the session number, the number on our system about the user, full name, first name, last name, everything that we saw on the console, on the session details, everything is here except the photos, because it's a CSV. So basically we have this already. We saw the session details. We're on the verification list. Here in the verification list, we can do multiple things as well that are very helpful for reviewing sessions. So we can filter by the status. Maybe you only want to check which sessions are in review. In this case, I don't have any. You can maybe want to filter by date, maybe by a custom date as well. You can filter as well by country. Hey, maybe you want to check only people from Spain. In this case, this. You can check as well. You can filter by document type. You can filter by workflow. We're going to go through the workflows, what they are and why they are very useful after. You can filter by session type. In case it was a session that was hosted, in this case, all the sessions that I did were hosted, or that was a migrated session. We migrate as well some previous verification for some enterprise customer. If you're an enterprise customer and you have already another provider, please contact us, and we're going to help you to migrate all this information, all this data from your servers. So you will be able to filter with your migrated data as well from previous systems. And then you have as well the API. That API is basically just some manual checks that we perform for the user directly using our API without interacting in the verification flow with the hosted website. So we can do that. We can search as well by name. I can search here, whoever is called Alejandro. I can as well select which type of document show or not. Maybe I want to show the email as well here in case I have an email. I did an email process there, or I put an email on the contact list. I can show the phone as well. I can show if the ongoing monitoring is enabled or not for that user. I can see a lot of things here. So what else we can show? So basically this is the verification list. You can also directly create a session from here. So in case you want to just do a manual check of someone and someone tells you like, you know, I had problems verifying or whatever, please send me a verification link. Your compliance team super easily can go here, select the workflow that you want. The KYC and AML, that was the workflow that I've done, I performed before. You put his name, maybe it's test@example.com. You create this. If you have the user in person, it's very convenient. Maybe you are trying to, I don't know, selling scenes, you know, in a physical store. Maybe you want to put that there quickly, show him the QR code so he can scan it and verify in front of you. Or you can just send him an email. Maybe I want to send this email to this person here and I want the language to be sent, let's say, by Georgian. We have like 49 languages that you can select from. So you can send it in any language. So what will happen, he will receive an email that he must verify with Didit. Well, with Didit, but for your account. In case you have white label, actually, it will be, everything will be your logo, and Didit won't appear in any place. So that's one thing. Actually, well, we will see. That's the session that we created. You can check that as well, the session URL. We can navigate just here, and you will see that's, again, start of the same process that I did at the beginning. We're gonna go, now that we understand like the verification process of the user, like what he sees. We also check as an admin, on the console, what the admin can check, all the checks that we perform about that user. We saw as well the verification list, all the verification that we have on the system. And then what we're gonna do is go here, go to the workflows. And with the workflows, we're gonna create a simple workflow. So a workflow is basically some configurations that you make so the user can go through that. So basically you are building the verification process for your users. And we have different types of ways of doing that. We have the simple way and the node-based way. So the simple way, as I'm going to show you right now, is the simplest way to build a workflow, to build the verification process for your users. So I'm going to go here to simple. I have already some templates made, like start from scratch. I can start from zero, but also I have maybe address verification or maybe phone verification or adaptive age estimation. Maybe I want to estimate the age of the user and I want to configure that. So that's some pre-made configuration that we made. We're going to go through start from scratch so you can see everything from scratch. And here we can see different things. So on the left side, we see the workflow name, whatever we want to call the name. Maybe this is KYC level 2. That you want to perform to your users. The type of workflows, we have different type of workflows on the simple mode. We have KYC verification, adaptive verification to verify the age of the user, and that's it. And do optionally ID verification in case the age is in certain thresholds. We have biometric authentication as well, just to verify a quick liveness. Maybe this is very useful for your use case if there is a user that wants to change the password, or if there is a user that is performing an economic transaction. You want to verify in these cases that the user is the one who is supposed to be. Since you have all the verification information about him, you have his, you tell him like, hey, just do this biometric authentication just to make sure that the one that is trying to do the transfer or is the one that is trying to change the password is actually you. That's super, super useful for that biometric authentication. Then we have address verification that just flows specifically for proof of address, just doing proof of address starting from there. Then we have questionnaire verification. That's for you in a workflow just with a questionnaire. That's very useful as well if you want to do some KYB flows, asking some questions about the user, about their companies, about the beneficial owners. You can do that with questionnaires. We will go through that afterwards. You can create a workflow as well, only email verification to verify their email, good for onboarding. And then as well for phone verification, very good for onboarding. You verify the user's phone number and that's it. You call back, you redirect back to your application, or you are already in your application with the SDKs. In this case, we will go through the KYC verification, this workflow. And we see that we have different things. On the left side, as I said, the workflow name, the type of workflow. Then we have here some configuration, some settings. So here you can configure as well the callback URL. You can do that through API when creating a session, but you can also do it here, so it's simple. You can include custom style, so basically white label, in case you want to customize the look and feel of your application. So put your logo here, put your colors, change a little bit everything, pretty much, you can do it. through this section here, customization. We will go through that after. But yeah, if you can customize something here and you enable the custom style, you can do that for that workflow. You enable here. So you can also enable here the desktop access, so the users can perform the verification like I did on desktop and not only on mobile. What else do we have here? Here we have all the possible steps that you can configure. That steps are equal features that you can configure on the verification flow, and that's ordered. So if you select ID verification, then liveness, and face match, and then AML screening, and then IP analysis, that's all the features that you're going to check from the users. There is some features that are backend checked, like AML screening, the user doesn't need to do anything, or face match, the user doesn't need to do anything because we did the liveness before, or IP analysis is already directly implemented on the process, so we know all that stuff, but the user will see like he needs to perform the ID verification and the face match. That is basically the liveness, sorry. That is basically what we see here. So here you can select what to choose or not. On this screen here, it's a preview. So you preview what the user will see while performing the process. It's very simple and very useful as well. So you can check it out and gives you an idea about that. You can do that, and you can do desktop mode as well, how we see. And then you can also change screens by doing that. And then on the right side, that's the fun part where all the configurations about the feature, it's done. So on ID verification, for example, I'm here in ID verification. On ID verification, I can do a lot of things. One of the most important things that you can do is select which countries and which document types do you accept for your application. Maybe because of regulation, you can only accept European countries, or maybe you can only accept your own country. Maybe you're in Colombia and you only accept Colombia documents. And maybe from this document, you only accept passports. So let's say that you only accept Colombia passports. I can go here. I can select, hey, I only accept Colombia, I only accept passport. That's it. That will be it. So then when the user starts the verification process with this workflow, he will only see this option right here. He won't see any other countries, he won't see any other document types, only the ones that you actually accepted. In this case, I'm going to just put everything here. Let me see. What else you can do here in the countries? You can configure as well very narrow things, like in United States, for instance, there is a lot of regions, there is a lot of document types, so you can actually get down to that level. Like, hey, maybe I only want to accept California driver license. I don't want to accept anything else, or California's IDs. You can do that here as well. In these settings, in additional settings for each country, you can also customize very nice things that are basically, hey, which character format do you prefer? Do you prefer Latin or non-Latin? Maybe there is some documents, like in Arabic countries, that they show both. They show non-Latin and Latin. Hey, do you want us to send you preferably non-Latin or Latin? You can choose that here. By default it's Latin, but you can choose non-Latin as well. If you choose Latin and the document has non-Latin as well, we will send that information as well on the extra fields, on the session details, what I show at the beginning. And as well, if you choose non-Latin, we will send the Latin version as well as extra field, so you know about it as well. There is another configuration here, that is the expiration rule. Like, which expiration rule do you want to apply for that country, for actually that document type in that country? Do you want to allow this document to be expired? Or you want to flag it like as soon as it's later than today you mark it as expired? That is by default, but there is maybe some application, or maybe there is some countries and some document types that they are in war right now, or they have there some issues that they are issuing like some statement like, hey, we allow this document to be expired for the next 2 years. So you can configure that as well. We can choose all these options, all these configurations. So it's super, super flexible to your use case. And that's for the ID verification part, for the country selection. Here you can select actually like which capture method do you allow. Do you allow a camera scan? Do you allow upload as well? Maybe you only want to allow camera scan, or maybe you want to allow both or only upload. You can choose it here. As well, we can configure a script by age. Maybe your application is, I don't know, adult site, or you are selling guns or any kind of plus 18 requirement. So you basically can set that here, like, hey, if the user is under 18, please decline it. Or maybe send it in review. I want to review this user. You can do whatever you want. Or if it's less than 25, you can do that as well. So here you can configure a little bit everything, the kind of extremes of the ages that you want and the action that you want to take. So if there is a user doing the verification process and he falls out of this range, we will apply these conditions. What else can you configure here? You can configure duplicated users. So what you do if you detect there is a duplicated user. For the moment, by default, we don't do anything, but maybe you can decline it. You don't want to have duplicated users. You don't want multi-account abuse. So you select decline. Same for the QR and the barcode. What happens if you don't read it? sometimes we don't read the barcode and the QR code because there is a little bit of blurriness on the photo. So it's normal. Sometimes it happens. What do you want to do? You want to set in review and review it yourself manually, or you want to just upload it? Same for MRZ not valid. You can take an action based if the MRZ back on the document is valid or not. The expiration date, what to do if the expiration date is not detected, for some reasons. Maybe there was a little bit blurriness, or there is some kind of obstruction on the expiration date. And that's a very important field to extract. So what to do with that? What to do with inconsistent data, invalid validation? What happens if we detect that the document is not live? So basically it was a photo, for instance, of a computer. We have an ID on a computer and we took a photo. What action do you want to do? You want to decline it, maybe set it in review. What to do if the address has not been processed? There is some companies, as I said before, that require actually to geolocalize exactly where the address is. So if we cannot do that, if we cannot extract the address, or we extract the address, but we cannot geolocalize exactly where this address was, you can set it in review, so you can review it manually. You can maybe contact the user, which is your geolocation. You can do everything here. When there is document or personal number format mismatch, that means maybe I'm doing my ID, my national ID, and it has 8 letters and 3 numbers, but there is a national ID that doesn't have that. Hey, watch out. This doesn't follow the typical standard. So it might be because as well, there was an obstruction, maybe the OCR errors didn't catch good letter or one number, or maybe this because the document is fake. So we want to let you know about that. Here, front camera face match score. This is a very interesting, a very good feature, what is called as well silent selfie. So when we perform the verification process through the phone, not the computer, because the computer only has one camera in this case, but through the phone, what we do basically is starting the process when the user is doing like this with his document. At the beginning, we take a photo of the user, so we know who is the one taking the photo of the document, the video of the document. So we can see maybe if there is a person, on the streets that is committing synthetic, identity fraud, or is stealing identities from someone. We can understand that kind of patterns, and we can detect very quickly as well some kind of patterns with these people. Because normally these people, what they do is they steal, or they create a lot of synthetic IDs, and they try to create multiple accounts. So we will know that. We'll know that the user that was doing the photo of the document is the same that was doing the document on X, on Y, and it's not the same person of the document. So that's very, very interesting feature. You can customize this here as whatever you want. If you don't want to use this feature, maybe for some reason you don't care about it, you can just put here and everything will be approved. So it doesn't really matter. If you want to be serious about it, maybe you can decline it less than 30%, and then more than 60% of face match is approved. You can do whatever you want. And here is to configure basically the name match score threshold. So if you provide, maybe you are a banking as a service or other type of company that you already know some information about the user, and if you provide some full name about the user, and then the information that we extracted, the ID verification in the document of the ID verification was not the same, then we will raise a warning. And you can customize here how much it must be. So here is the ID verification part of the configuration. We have as well NFC verification. NFC verification is only possible to be used with native SDKs, so with iOS, Android, Flutter, React Native. Basically what we do is we are able to read the chip, the ICAO 9303 compliant, like a passport, for instance, is after 2006. There is some national IDs as well, like the Spanish ID that have the chip. So we can read the chip, and this is super, super, super secure. And there is a lot of regulation that are requiring actually to be able to read the chips. So we're able to do that with our native SDKs. And if you select that, if you want to read the NFC, and you have the native SDK, and we detected that the document as well is a document that has this kind of chip, and as well we detected that the device that you have has an NFC capability, then after the ID verification, if you have this step enabled, we will ask the user to actually scan the NFC. You can see more information about the NFC here. I will leave it to you. Basically, that's the process. You will take the phone, you will put it on your document, on your passport or your national ID, and you will extract all information, and we will know certain for sure that this user he is supposed to be. We will extract the portrait image, we will extract the signature, we will extract all who was the issuer of this. We can validate everything. So that's very good feature. We can allow NFC skip. Maybe the user is having some trouble just scanning, like this, or maybe we detected that the device has an NFC, but for some reason it doesn't work. So we can allow the user also to skip it. You can take an action based if you allow the user to skip it or not. And then we can also take an action if we are not able to verify the chip. So we read information, but we are not able to actually validate that the signature of the chip is actually coming from an entity, like a government, like the Spanish government or any kind of government in charge of issuing these kind of chips on documents. So that's NFC verification. For liveness, we have different things. We have 3 different liveness methods. We have the 3D action, flashing, and passive. The 3D action is the most secure of the market. And basically what you do is one action at the beginning. And then you have, after you do the one action, you have some flashing on your face. And this is super, super well designed, because what we do is we create a color sequence, a random color sequence, a random action and a random color sequence. So when you start the process, we ask you to do that, to do this random action. And when you do this random action, you will see some colors, as you see here, being flashed on the screen. And what it's going to do is going to rebound on your face and on your eyes. And then we will send this video to our server, and we will analyze if these colors that were like reflecting on your skin, on your eyes, on everything, and the timing of the color, does it match actually what it's supposed to match? So it's super, 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 super secure. It's strongly recommended for very secure financial applications, for instance, banks, and everything that require extreme security. So we have 3D action. Flashing is the same as 3D action, but with all the random action, only the random flashing. And then passive liveness. That passive liveness is the thing that I did at the beginning. Just one quick video with the photo, and it's super secure as well, but not as much as 3D action and flashing. Then we have the liveness score, like, hey, here you can configure, like, hey, what to do if the score of the liveness was less than 30%. Maybe I want to decline it. Maybe I want to put it in review if it's between 30 and 60. Maybe I want to approve it if it's more than 60. Here you can configure everything. What to do with the duplicate face? You can set as well some kind of threshold, score threshold, to detect the duplicated face, depending on the race and an action to take. So for instance, maybe I want to say like, hey, like Asian people, like if I have a similarity score, what we saw like of face matches before, if I have a similarity score of 75 and up, I want 75% and up, I won't consider it high match. So that's a high match. So I want you to understand that, and we will let you know about that. And when this is a high match, I want you to decline it. I don't want even to review it. I want to decline this case here. So you can configure that as much as you want, depending on the race. Then what to do if in the liveness process we detect multiple faces. Maybe I have a friend here, or maybe I have more persons. What do you want to do? You want to set in review, so you check it manually. You want to decline it. Face privacy mode as well, like when maybe your application is for estimating the age of minors, or maybe for adult sites, something that requires, some privacy. If you enable that, what the user is going to see is some blurriness in the process, what I did on the passive liveness. So instead of seeing my face, I would see only blurriness. So it gives the effect to the user that this is very privacy, so it's not scared about doing it. As well, some thresholds about the face quality, when you want to approve, when you want to decline, some occlusion, some luminance, that what we saw in the session details, like maybe if it's too dark, like you want to set it in review, or you want to decline it if it's less than 10%, or if it's too bright, you want to do the same. Here you can configure everything. Face match. What is face match? Face match is what we did, is to compare the ID verification that we perform in the portrait image extracted there with the best frame on the liveness. You can customize here what to do and the score that you want to set. Proof of address, super good feature, very required on financial application and a lot of more industries, is basically like which type of documents you want to accept for the user to upload. Maybe you want to accept utility bill, or not, you don't want to accept utility bills, or you want to accept utility bills, but you want to accept it like for 1 year or 2 years, like if it has been issued in the last 2 years, then you accept it. Maybe you only can accept 3 months because of your regulation. You can put that as well here. Bank statement, government issued document. Here is everything that we can do as well, all the subtypes that we can check, same for bank statement here. You can configure everything here. You can configure it as well at the country level and the additional settings. So not only globally, but also on the country level. Maybe on Belgium, you don't accept government, but in the other countries you accept it. So you can do that as well. Which accepted language do you accept for the document? Maybe you want to accept only English. Maybe you want to accept all of them. And more configurations here regarding the poor quality, if we detect the document manipulation, if there is unsupported language, that you don't support this language, what we want to do, if the issue date hasn't been not detected, name match score. You can customize everything you want here. And to give you a heads up, what the proof of address is basically to upload any kind of utility bill, government, or any other type of these documents, bank statements, and extract from there like the address of the user, the name of the user, the issue date, the issuer, extract more information so you are certain that this user lives in a place. We also geolocalize this as well as we did on the ID verification, we also do it on the proof of address. What else we have here? The questionnaire. So basically you can enable a questionnaire after the user has done like an ID verification and proof of address. You can make him do a questionnaire, and you can select any questionnaire. By default, you have source of funds, like to explain where the source of funds from his come from, or maybe the purpose of relationship. You can create more questionnaires as you want. We will go through that later. You can select it here. Maybe you can want to force like always a manual review, so you check all the answers before accepting this user. Email verification, self-explanatory. You can enable email verifications here. You can enable phone verification as well. You can select which channels do you accept for the phone. So if you accept only SMS, or you accept SMS, WhatsApp, Viber, and Telegram, all of them, in which countries do you accept it? Maybe there is some countries that you don't want to accept, like SMS, because it's expensive, or just because you don't want to. You know, like there is a lot of options that you can choose here to accept. So you can select as well the OTP code size that you want to send to the user. By default is 6, is fine. The maximum send attempts that the user is going to do on the verification process, maybe you allow him to do 5 attempts, or maybe you just want him to do 1 attempt. Same for the verifications, same to if we detect that the user is using a disposable number or a virtual number or a duplicated phone number from other session, you know, like what to do, which configuration do you want to set here. And lastly, this is very useful as well. We have some customers that what they do, they have the verification process in some kiosk, in some terminals. So there is a lot of users verifying from the same IP address. They put the phone number on the terminal. This terminal is the same IP address. So you want to enable this in this case here. So we don't tag it as a possible fraud. What else we have here? We have database validation. Super important. This is required by for a lot of companies for regulation, to double check that the data extracted from the ID verification matches the data on a government database. So we do that as well. We do that for a lot of countries already, from Argentina, Brazil, Colombia. You can check all the list here. And we have different types of validation that we do. We have the 1-1 validation or the 2x2 validation. So 1x1 validation is like, hey, we validate against one government database to check if there is a match. And we don't stop until we validate on one of them. And 2x2 validation is like, hey, we don't stop until we validate 2 official government databases. So in this case, most of all, only we have like the official government databases. There is only one, so there is no 2x2 validation to be done. But there is another case like Ecuador that we check multiple government databases, and then we have this option here as well in Peru. You can learn more. There is the whole world to learn more about this. You can learn more if you go here and you go to the technical documentation. AML screening. So that's what we have seen before on the session details. And here you can configure very good, like what you consider a match and what you can configure the weights as well of the match. Like maybe you want to give more weight to the name instead of of 60%. Maybe you want to give 80%. You want to give less to date of birth, less to the country, nationality. You can do all that here. You can configure it. And as well, you can configure the risk score. Maybe you want to say like, hey, if there is a match and the risk score is more than 50, remember, like the risk score is associated to the data sets and as well to the countries that we checked, of the match. So maybe you want over this to set it in review. And here you can also configure if you want the ongoing monitoring to appear or not on the process. So we check it after the user is verified. We check it every day. By the way, we only check, I didn't tell it before, but we only do ongoing monitoring, and we only make you pay for the approved users that have ongoing monitoring enabled. Only that. Like if the user does a verification and is in review or it's declined, we are not going to perform the ongoing monitoring because this user is declined. There is no reason for doing that. But if the user is approved and ongoing monitoring is enabled, we will do that. And we will bill one time every year, and we will let you know about that. So we will bill you now the first time that the user does a verification, and then the next year, the whole year, 365 days after, we're going to do the next bill. This is very well explained as well in the session details. You can go to session details and see like when is the next bill date. And we will do that because we want maximum transparency, so the company knows beforehand everything, all the cost. Same as the cost breakdown that we did before. So then lastly, we have the IP analysis. What to do if there is IP mismatch. If we detect that there is Tor VPN privacy detection, you can also select here the configurations. As soon as you're confident you're good with your workflow, you just need to save the workflow. That's the total price, this one here, total price per completed session that we'll have. We have some variable because we added like phone verification, and phone verification depends on the country and the channel. So this is why it's variable. But you have all the information here, the cost of the future and everything. So when we save the workflow, this workflow is already ready to be sent to the customers. So to create session with this workflow and send it to your customers. And you have 2 options for doing that to create a session. So the easiest way is like you copy the link here and you send this link to everybody. So if I go here, I will see it. So I go here and a session will be created automatically for that user. And we will detect, thanks to their device fingerprint, the IP address, like the device disconnected from, the screen size and everything, we will detect if this user is the same or not. So if he tries to log in with the same link, we are not going to create multiple sessions. We know that this user has already a session, that he created with these methods. So he will see this, but also that's very convenient. Like if you want to copy the link for applications, that they don't want to integrate a lot, do a lot of effort on their backend integration, they just want to deploy easily. They just put it. Maybe they have a e-commerce platform, a Shopify or other that is super simple. So they want to go with this option here. But the other option is through API. So you will create actually here on the technical documentation, you can find our APIs, and the create session API is the one that you use to create a session. And here you will need to indicate the workflow ID. So I will copy here. You copy the workflow ID by here. This is just the workflow that I created. I will go here and I will just input it here. And the good thing about creating it with the API is that you can add a lot of information about the user. You can add the vendor data. So that's kind of the unique identifier of your user in your system, of your database. So you can relate it laterwards. And you can set a callback as well. You can set some metadata. Maybe you want to add some information about some plan that the user is in, maybe he's trying to do a SIM, buy a SIM. Maybe you can set here which type of a SIM he's trying to buy. So when you redirect to the callback, you know this information. You can set any kind of metadata that you want here. You can also set the language that you want the user to perform the verification process with. But to be honest, it's not recommended, because if you go to the verification process, let me go now again. If I click here, I copy the link and I go here. We always detect the language of the browser of the user. So it always going to display on their preferred language. And if for some reason he wants to change that language, he can go here and he can select between the 49 languages that we offer. So if he wants to do it on Spanish, he just go here and he will start doing the process in Spanish. So it's not recommended, but there is some customer that liked it. So we have this option. And then we have as well some contact details here. So if you want to add maybe some email or send notifications to the user, in case he's setting review and then to approve or decline to notify him. You can set his phone. You can set some expected details. This is very important. I talked about it before. Maybe you know beforehand some data of the user and you want to make sure that this user actually verify with the known data that you have from him. So you want to populate that with that. Or you can also include the portrait image in case that you're doing a biometric authentication. As I said before, maybe you want to change a user of yours, want to change a password, maybe he wants to perform a transaction. You just need to create a session, a biometric authentication workflow. You create a session, you send the portrait image that you have of the user already in your system, and you create a session with that. So when he performs the face scan, super quick, in less than 1 second, you can know if this user is actually live, and also if this user is actually matching, the face that was extracted with the face that you send it on the portrait image here. So very useful. To create a session is super simple, actually. You extract the API key and you just go and do the request like this. You have some examples here, some examples of the response as well that we can give. Maybe if there is no pipeline or there is no permission, we also give some examples. You can also see the whole schema here. You can see everything. All the documentation is pretty well explained and you can see it. We'll go through that afterwards. So basically, I showed, we have two options. We can just copy the link for easy implementation, like easy integrations, or you can just create directly from your backend with an API key. And now the question is, where can I retrieve my API key? Okay, that's very important. You can go here to API and Webhooks. And here you have different options. You have the option to extract the API key. You can copy it and then you can rotate it as well. And then there is something very interesting here that is you see the API key again, but it's the webhooks. What we talked about at the end of the session details, where you want to send the information to your system. So maybe to your backend endpoint. So we have some tests that you can do here to just send this information. And that's kind of the data that we'll send to your backend. So if you want to do a test, if you are a developer, you already know about that. If you want to do a test, you just need to put the webhook URL, where your system is going to start receiving the webhooks notifications. And you can just send webhooks to make tries, make tests to make sure that you have well integrated the webhooks. The webhook needs to be integrated as well with some webhook secret key that you have here. You have a complete as well documentation about the webhooks here that you can read. But yeah, you can test it out. You test it, you put it on your system, you put the webhook secret key, you try it out with different scenarios. Maybe you want to test the approve, maybe you want to test the approve, but with Unicode names, so that's with names that has some accent maybe or some special characters. You want to test that as well to make sure that the integration is well. You want to test as well maybe the ongoing monitoring, how you will receive the ongoing monitoring notification, on your system. If we got that there is a user that has been caught in a sanction list or whatever. So you can check everything here. If you're not a developer, if you're seeing this video, just let your developer know that he can test all the webhooks here. Then here we'll find the part of the notifications. So you can alert yourself, by email or by Slack, if you have Slack, in case there is some session in review. So your team of compliance team can quickly review all the sessions that are left in review. And here we have the data retention policy. So basically how long you want for us to keep the data about all your verifications. Do you want us only to be stored 1 month? Or do you want unlimited time? There is some customer that ask, I'm going to reply it here, like why it cannot go lower than 1 month. It cannot go lower than 1 month. That was a technical decision that we made because if we put maybe 1 day or 1 week, maybe there was no time, for the operations team or something to review that verification. So we don't want to delete something, that after is not recoverable and that your team will have time to review. So this is why we have minimum 1 month and then unlimited. In case, if you want to delete the session directly right away, as soon as you receive the webhooks, you can do that as well through the API. So you will go here, you will call the delete session, and you will use the session ID. And when you do that, you will delete the session from our systems right away. So maybe user completed the verification and you receive all the webhooks already. Then you want to delete the session, boom, you delete it and it's not in our systems anymore. What else do we have here? So the verifications, this that we've done before, there is also something very interesting that is the users. So the users are pretty much, the users are pretty much the list of people, like we identify on your system that has been verified. For instance, this user has 1 session done, test user 3. Maybe later on, if the document expires, or maybe you require him to do the KYC level 3, another level, and you use the same vendor data, when he does that, you will find all the information about that user directly here on the users tab. You search for him. You will see all the verification that he has performed. You will see all the documents. You will see all the devices, all the places that he connected through. And yeah, it's super, super easy just to have this aggregated information about your users. What else can we show here? The customizations. I talked about it before. So basically, there is a module that is the white label model, we like to call it, that you can customize the look and feel of the application, the verification process. So it has your branding. Maybe your background is black in your branding. Maybe your primary button, is like this. Maybe you want to change the field colors. Maybe you want to change, the text here, whatever. You can change anything you want. You can change the typography as well. You can change the border radius. You can change the logos. You can even add your own domain. If you're doing that through a web application, you can add your own domain. So you redirect the users directly to your domain. So you can do that as well. You can do anything you want. And it's super easy. You just need to do that, save the changes, and then on the workflows, you go here, you go here, you go here, and you put include custom styles. And when you do that, when you put custom styles, when you create a new session, it will be ready, like starting with your styles. If you added the domain, it will start with your domain. So that's for the customization part. And we have as well talked about the questionnaires. No, actually, before talking about the questionnaires, let me go through the workflows again, because I showed like a simplified version of the workflows. I showed only the simple part, but I also would like to show you the node-based part. That this one is for very advanced compliance team that require a lot of customization based on countries, maybe based on different rules that they have. And this can give you that. For instance, like we have, let me do here, new workflow, node-based, fund risk-based. Maybe you as a company, you want to set a workflow that starts with fund verification, and based on the country that the user verified from, maybe if it's considered a dangerous country, maybe Gibraltar, maybe some other countries, Afghanistan, Angola, and all this, you want him to go through the ID verification, liveness, and face match. And then based on that, you determine the final status. You want him decline, you want him in review, or you want him approved. Okay. So you can customize all these things directly thanks to node-based. So it's as simple as creating a filter. It's as simple as creating a branching rule here with some rules. Like Here we selected the font country, but you can select whatever, if it's possible or not. You can select anything that comes before that as a field, and you can select any value. And then as well, after that, you can choose different things. Like after he performed the face match, you want to determine the final status. And basically, this is the simplest rule, is the font status, if it's equal decline, or if the ID status is equal decline, or the liveness, or the face match. So any step that came before here, I want to decline the user here. If it's any of these in review, any of the status, then I want to set that in review. If it's not either one or two, if there is no decline, there is no review, then I want to approve the user. So you can customize anything here. Even you can actually even put some actions, like maybe after that you want to add an action, and maybe you want to add a tag, maybe you want to add a tag, high risk tag after this to the user. And then you determine final status, maybe, you connect this here. You can choose anything. You can do anything you want here. That's a good thing about the node-based workflow, that you have maximum flexibility on doing that. Okay, so we are left with questionnaires as well. So questionnaires, what are questionnaires? Questionnaires are basically basic forms that you can show to the user. For instance, the source of funds. We also have, by the way, here different options. We have the simple way of doing questionnaires. That is super simple. We're going to go through that afterwards, but you also have the node base. So depending on different rules, different answers, like the user give to some questions, you show him one flow or you show him the another. And that's very useful. And we have a lot of type of questions that we can build. You can build all these types, like from short text, you can maybe do an email, phone, time, date picker, number, country, whatever. You can select anything. And you can do that for any of the 49 languages that we support. So for instance, right now I'm in English. If I want to edit this, I can edit the placeholder, I can edit anything. You want to edit it, you can edit it. And if you want to preview how it looks like, you have it here, how your question will look like. And also, in case you have different branches, different all, you can just select here and you will see directly all the path that the user goes through. So pretty simple. We're going to go through the simple questionnaire as well. We have some already made here. Let's go from scratch. Maybe you want to start a questionnaire. You want to give it a name, a description. Maybe you want to add with the email, asking the email of the person. Maybe you want to let him know about the image, like upload your registration company document. And maybe you want that to be 2 images maximum. Probably this makes more sense to do file upload instead of the image. You can choose. You can do as well address, so you can retrieve an address. This is connected through a Places API from Google, so you can retrieve actually the place geolocated. That's very useful. You can do anything you want. You can create multiple sections as well. So you show one section first, and then you show the other section here. And you can do that for multiple languages as well. If you want to add a new language, you just go here, and you want to do it maybe on Spanish as well. So you just go to Spanish, and you start editing all these in Spanish. So super simple, super useful. By default, we always fall back to English. So if you are putting only English and Spanish, and maybe the user is connecting through Chinese, language, then it will be default to English if you don't have Chinese here. You can always add it. So very, very useful, and this is super, super useful because you can incorporate it then on your workflows. Remember, on your workflows here, you have the questionnaire, and here, if you enable it, you can select the question that you just created, and you can save it, and then the user will see all these kind of questionnaire on the process. Okay, lastly, let's go through the top up. Okay, so Didit is very useful because you can do everything yourself right away, pay by usage. You can add your credits directly here on the platform, and you can have a volume discount based on that. So imagine that you want to upload like $5,000, then you can go here, you can select, here is for doing an estimation of the discounts that you will get at that volume with 20% of discount. You can just go here, add credits. I will go to add credits. I will open a Stripe. I will put my card directly there, and boom, I will be added the credits on my platform, and you can start right away, verifying your users. And every time that there is a fee to perform, we will discount that. So it's a pay by usage, and the credits never expire. Then we have also an auto recharge. So if you make the payment with Stripe, what we can do is every time that you fall out from a threshold, maybe you fall like from $20, you want to recharge some quantity like $500. So you are sure that you never run out of credits. Anyways, if that fails for some reason, we will send you an email so you are aware of it. So that's for the top up. You can create multiple organizations as well. And normally, like, the company just create one and has like one application or maybe two applications, one for test, one for production. But you can create another organization if you want to, in case you are a reseller maybe, or you have multiple companies, you can do that. And you can also modify the settings of your organization. You can maybe change the name, you can change the law. You can invite team members here, so it's important. Only owners can invite team members. You can maybe add whatever, test at example.com, and you want to assign him an admin role, so you can invite your team members. You can also configure the SSO in case you need it for your application. You can see in real time all the usage that you have done, every feature specifically. So maximum transparency, and in every time you know what you spent. Here you can see all the billing in case when you make a top up or there is an automatic recharge, you will see everything here. And then here you have the audit logs. So everything that happens on the platform by any users, you are able to filter it here and you see what happens. So this is very important for audit reasons. So basically, that's pretty much it. We touched like, we did a very long review of the Didit platform already, of the console, of what the admin sees. We started by showing the verification process of a user. So now, finally, I want to show a little bit the technical documentation that you can find here in docs.didit.me, that if you're a developer, strongly encourage to check this very deeply. And especially the APIs endpoint. If you're not a developer, you can check it anyways, and you can send that to your developer so they can integrate it into your system. It's super quick. Like, you can integrate Didit in less than 1 day. You can even migrate your data from another provider and integrate it in less than 1 day. So here, how the technical documentation is structured, it's pretty simple. You have the introduction, all the features that we offer, basically, all the supported documents that we have. You can find it here. So this is a section where you find all the features and explain very well exactly all the details about that feature, and as well the warnings that we can trigger. For instance, on the verification, we can trigger all that warnings here. So you're aware of it. So when you integrate the service, you can listen to that as well. We explain everything from ID verification, NFC, liveness, face match, all the features that we saw. You can see everything here directly. And here you have as well a quick start, strongly recommended for developers to see this. All this integrated very quick. You also have everything related to the console, explain workflow, explain deeply what it's all about the Unilinks, about the session chats, what it is. You have all the APIs here, like create session, but maybe you want to retrieve the session as well, not only integrate by webhooks, but you want to retrieve this information afterwards. You can use that. You can delete the session, as I mentioned before. You can generate a PDF for your system directly. You can share your session. Maybe you are banking as a service, and you want your companies, that are integrated with you, to share you this session so you can check it and you can have it on your system. You can do that as well with share session, import share session. Very useful. Then here, what do we have here? We have the standalone APIs. So that's in the verification list that I set here on the APIs, the session type API. This is basically what you're going to find when you perform a manual check, on API, standalone API, directly on Didit. So you can do pretty much everything that I showed, the workflow, you can do it here. I would recommend, though, to integrate Didit through the hosted version because it's super optimized to all devices, to all the internet speeds, to everything. So the user experience is phenomenal. So you want to integrate better with that. But in any case, if you want to integrate it, you already have a flow and you just want the API, you can do it through here directly. You have different types. Here in the integration guide, you have the webhooks. I talked about it before. You can have, your developer can know how to integrate it very, very quick, how to validate the secrets, some examples as well. Here we have the native SDKs. That's super, super important, that if you have a native application, you want to integrate with the SDKs because the experience is amazing, and you have capabilities as well for NFC. We have iOS, Android, React Native, and Flutter. We have as well the web SDKs. We have as well some information regarding the rate limit that we have on the system, all the supported languages that you support on the verification process, and then we have some demos that you can find here on the demo center. So pretty much that's a review of Didit. And we also have a channel that you can access here on support, where you can send us a message directly that is going to be tied to your company. In case you have a question regarding a session, in case you have a question, regarding setting a workflow, in case you have some new requirements that will be interesting, you just send us a message by WhatsApp, and we'll reply to you as soon as possible. So pretty much that's a full review of Didit, of the platform, as a user standpoint, but also as an admin of a company. And I hope it's clear, and anything, please let us know on WhatsApp. Thank you very much.